standard tuning with a drop A. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm using Ernie Ball 9 through 46 and a 62 on the bottom.
Yep. I use the same gauge, but I use the cobalt strings. Yeah.
Schecter's been personally amazing to me, you know, as far as them with the, you know, the service that I get, you know, through the company. Anything I've ever needed, you know, it's pretty much there, you know. It's a one-on, you know, talking to the vice president or the president or Ryan Martin up there. Yeah, Ryan Martin, everybody.
Yeah. He's responsible for all of this.
Yeah, yeah. Big hand for Ryan Martin. Yeah.
He's playing Candy Crush on his phone. He doesn't even care.
Yeah, yeah. It's awesome, you know, once you have a relationship with a company, you know, it's a really good thing. Personally, with Schechter, it's kind of like family, you know. They really care about us and they
really
want
good
us to be
support
happy.
too. I mean, you know, we're out here doing clinics overseas, you know, and I think with certain companies, they don't really do that sort of thing for artists. So it's really cool, you know, to be out here and play for people and, you know, tour around and just have a good time, you know. Yeah.
I did, yes. When I was just a wee lad. I was like 16 years old, and I had a friend who was living in California but came to Wisconsin, and I met him. Wisconsin is where I was born and raised. And he said, hey, Megadeth is looking for a guitar player. You should send them an audition tape. So I did 4 songs, and they liked it. They just didn't know that I was 16. So when I flew out to LA, David Ellefson, the bass player, called my name, and here I pop up, and he's like, oh, man, a kid? You know, we can't have that. But he gave me the audition anyway, and I played, I think, Wake Up Dead, The Conjuring, In My Darkest Hour with them, and it was a blast. I played the songs really well, but when the whole thing was over, Dave came up to me and said, hey, man, you're just too young and inexperienced. You know, we really appreciate you coming all the way out here, but, you know, you're just not going to get the gig. So basically he just said, stick with your instrument and one day you'll be a great player. And, you know, I still stuck with it. And like 20 years later, Nevermore got the Gigantour with Megadeth in '05. So I told him about that story and he's like, I don't remember that at all. So, you know, it was pretty cool. It was something to remember and it was a lot of fun. And the coolest part of the story, though, was right after I got done auditioning, I saw Cacophony play in Chicago, and I told Marty Friedman about my audition, and his eyes all lit up. And he's like, really? Wow, that's cool. And like a week later, he was in the band. So I don't know if I had anything to do with it, but I kind of want to think I do. You know, it was really cool. I was listening to a lot of like advanced players at the time, like Marty Friedman and Jason Becker. My whole influence growing up it started off with Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads. I'm a bit older, so I kind of go from the 70s generation into Yngwie and stuff like that, and just kind of started to realize that these guys had really amazing technique. So I started first analyzing their right-hand picking. And if you notice players like Yngwie and Paul Gilbert, they're not really using their whole arm, are they? It's kind of like their arm is duct taped down to the guitar, and they're just utilizing momentum in their wrist. So I started noticing that. So I really focused on just using my wrist and going through modes and stuff like that very, very slowly. I always understood the fact that you have to work on things slow to get faster, where I see a lot of kids nowadays who want to be fast right away, and, you know, you can see it that they skipped some time, you know. So you really have to just put the effort in and play with the metronome and really think about the notes you're playing, you know, to get them sharp and attackful, you know. That's the best thing I can suggest.
I think for me, from day one, it was always just kind of like, I like to write songs. So I didn't really have much of a practice routine. Every time I'd pick up a guitar, it was mainly just to write music. It wasn't really to work on any specific techniques or any exercises or anything like that, because I mainly just like playing riffs and writing songs, so I never really focused on, you know, advanced soloing techniques or anything like that. I mean, I play around with it every now and then, but, you know, primarily I just like writing songs. And so I grew up listening to a lot of like early 90s death metal stuff, you know, really intense, fast, rhythmical death metal stuff. And I just sort of always played my own stuff based on that. You know, I'd listen to it and get inspired, and then I'd write something. And, you know, it's evolved a bit over the years to sound a little bit more modern and things like that. But, yeah, I never really had much of a practice routine, I think.
It's really important, like what Keith said, too. It's like you always should focus on writing music. I mean, you can spend your time, you know, in the bedroom or wherever you practice, you know, on technique and stuff like that, but it really does, it becomes boring, you know what I'm saying? So splitting up that time and working on composition is something you should really do, and focus on writing music and writing melodies, even if it's just on a simple 4-track, you know? Write music. That's what it's all really about anyway. So personally for me, it's just trying to be different, you know, because it's like you hear so many other players. You can hear so many influences in my playing, Jason and Marty, of course, with the bending and stuff like that. It's just really hard to be an innovator and try to be yourself sometimes, you know? So I strive for that personally every day, to try to make my own sound. And, you know, it's cool when people come up to me and they say they can hear a solo or a riff of mine and know that it's me. That makes me feel good, and know that I'm doing my job. Not my job, but what I love to do. You know?
Yeah. For me, I guess writer's block is always a tough thing to overcome. When it comes to that, I mean, I would just basically put the guitar down, walk away, don't get bummed out about it. You know, just know that it happens to everybody. And some days, you know, being locked in the studio with your own musical abilities, like being locked in a studio with your worst enemy, nothing works right. You just got to put it down, walk away, go watch a movie. Don't think about music, or maybe even listen to a different type of music. I personally like to listen to film score stuff, a lot of classical music. You know, if you're trying to write a metal song or something like that, I wouldn't personally quickly turn to a metal song to try to get inspired, to get past my writer's block, because that's where you start to sound like somebody else. But yeah, writer's block is a pretty common thing for me to have to overcome, I think. This thing, that's basically to kill that noise. So when you do like tight stalls and stuff, you don't get like the ringing out. You know, if this wasn't on there, it would kind of like ring a little bit. That's all that's for. Yeah.
Hey, I have a new guitar out to you guys. Just wanted to mention it really quickly. This is based on the SLS Shape 2. It's kind of like a hot-rodded version of my other signature guitar, but this is the JL7 for 2014. Lots of changes on this one. It's obviously much lighter. Got a thinner neck profile, stainless steel frets. I think the biggest change is probably the unfinished neck in the back, which I've always loved. A really deep cutaway to get to access the 24th fret really easily. Just really a comfortable guitar to play. There's a pickup change too. It's 5766 EMGs, which are just awesome. They have a really clean picking attack for leads. Comes with the Floyd Rose or a standard hip shot bridge. The volume and the toggle are also switched, just for easier access to that. Keith's idea. And it's an awesome guitar, man. And if you guys feel free, come up here and play it if you'd like. It's definitely a very big difference from my other guitar, and I think you guys will like it. So, yeah, feel free to play it if you want, or this black one. And thank you very much for coming tonight. It's been an awesome time, and thanks for listening, and we appreciate you guys coming here.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you very, very much.
Thanks a lot for coming out, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, cool. You already did the hard part for me.
Right, yeah, was that okay? Do you want me to take this, guys? Do you want me to take any pictures of you both?
Yeah, cookies in his mouth. Nice. He films. I like your style.
That's pretty angry. That's pretty
Maybe one day. We'll see. Yeah. Oh shit! Did you want me to sign this? Oh, okay. Shit. Okay.